Hey everybody, welcome into this episode of the Puma Podcast. Thank you for taking the time today. And as always, the show is brought to you by Game On in Batavia, located at 214 East Main Street, specializing in new and pre-owned games and systems repair services, and they deliver. The only store-to-door video game store around, so give them a call at 585-483-3019, and Game Master Jay will hook you up. So, with that, we're going to jump right into your football fix. Not much I wanted to get into for Bills stuff, per se. Just, it's mini camps, teams kind of getting into the thick of things here, implementing plays, lining up, tweaking where guys are lining up, what they're doing. We can sit here and dissect all of that all day. I don't really want to get into that too much because it's just mini camp. Once we hit training camp, I feel like it's a little bit easier because that is when you're really starting to vie for starting positions and such. So we'll just get to the one thing I wanted to touch on mostly here is ESPN ranked the 7 biggest quote-unquote whiffs of this offseason, which we will get into in a moment. But for those of you that like Hard Knocks, the Oakland Raiders will be on the HBO series this season. I think everybody probably saw that coming, but it will be entertaining nonetheless. All right, ESPN's 7 biggest whiffs of this offseason. Number 1, Arizona Cardinals botch the Josh Rosen trade. Cardinals made a defensible decision in drafting Kyler Murray, which made the move from Rosen necessary. At 22, Rosen still remains an elite asset who should have drawn more than a late second-round pick and a fifth-round pick. The time to do the deal, though, was before they selected Kyler Murray, not after, when there was no question they needed to do it. So what happens now? Rosen will get a chance to start with the Dolphins, a rebuilding team that nevertheless has better short and long-term prospects than the Cardinals. Yeah. Number 2, Teddy Bridgewater turns down the Miami Dolphins. Bridgewater had a chance to start with the rebuilding Dolphins. It was clearly not the most attractive quarterback job in the NFL, given its potential short-term time frame and the hurdles the Dolphins face in the AFC East. Bridgewater further delays his return to the field. Waiting for the right opportunity, or at least a better one, makes sense only as long as one team still wants him. He hits free agency in 2020, possibly 4 years removed from his most recent meaningful snap. Will a team be in better shape than the Dolphins be interested? I don't know. What happens now? The Dolphins recovered well, signing Ryan Fitzpatrick, acquiring Rosen. Bridgewater will sit behind Breeze this season in New Orleans, barring an injury. Number 3, Russell Wilson compromises in contract negotiations. It sounds odd to call Wilson's deal a quote-unquote compromise. He is now the NFL's highest paid player based on new money average and signing bonus, but at 30, as the Seahawks' unquestioned franchise player, he had the leverage to push it into new realms. It might have meant playing out the 2019 season without a new deal, but ultimately it could have led to precedent-changing structures, such as 4 fully guaranteed years, or perhaps a tie-in to the rise of the salary cap. Wilson was well within his rights to stop short of that, but it was a loss for those who want to see fundamental changes to NFL player contracts. What happens now? Wilson will be the Seahawks starting quarterback for the foreseeable future, but the fully guaranteed Kirk Cousins contract signed in 2018 remains an extreme outlier in the NFL's contract structure landscape. Yeah. Number 4, Adam Humphries chooses Tennessee Titans over the New England Patriots. Humphries faced a dilemma after signing a $36 million free agent offer from the Titans, or agreeing to a $36 million free agent offer from the Titans. He could sign the contract or consider a new higher offer from the Patriots. Ultimately, he chose to keep his word with the Titans, but in doing so, he chose a power running team over one who uses the slot position in the past 2 decades better than anyone else and has changed the game. Humphries was NFL's third most productive receiver from the slot with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last season. And one can only imagine what he might have done for the Patriots in 2019 and beyond. What happens now? Humphries will try to elevate a Titans offense that finished 2018 with the NFL's fourth fewest passing yards at 29.75. Without Humphries, the Patriots signed Julian Edelman to a 2-year contract extension. Humphries is 8 years younger than Edelman. Humphries is 25. Edelman is 33. Number 5, the New York Giants get no immediate return for Landon Collins. Plenty of criticism has fallen on the Giants, both for their decision to draft quarterback Daniel Jones and using the 6th pick to do it. Allowing Collins to walk in free agency rather than use the franchise tag to trade him, though, that might be considered mismanagement. Collins might generate a 3rd-round compensatory pick, but that won't be available for use until next year. Giants have lost 24 of their past 32 games, and having 1 playoff appearance in 7 seasons, they missed the chance to generate more help now, and the return for losing one of their best players won't be available until September 2020 at the earliest. What happens now? Collins will face the Giants twice this season with the Washington Redskins. The Giants acquired Cleveland Browns safety Jabril Peppers to replace him, but had to give up receiver Odell Beckham Jr. To do it. Number 6, the 49ers miss out on Odell Beckham and Antonio Brown. 52 wide receivers caught more passes last season than the 49ers team leader Kendrick Bourne. He had 42. In a draft class that lacked a dominant blue-chip player at the position, 2 of the league's top veteran playmakers were available via trade, but the 49ers offer for OBJ fell short, and they decided not to pursue Antonio Brown. Instead, they signed veteran Jordan Matthews and then drafted Deebo Samuel and Jalen Hurd in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Had they closed the deal for Beckham, the 49ers would have had an elite receiver in place for Jimmy Garoppolo, as he returns from a torn ACL, making a strong duo as the franchise tries to elevate past 22 losses in their first 32 games of the John Lynch-Kyle Shanahan era. What happens now? Beckham landed in what is arguably a better spot, playing alongside receiver Jarvis Landry, and with quarterback Baker Mayfield in Cleveland, and they were electric in the second half of last season. Brown found a team that wanted him in the Oakland Raiders and a new contract to go along with it. And number 7, finally, Anthony Barr turns down chance to rush the passer with the New York Jets. Barr is the rare outside linebacker who was drafted in the top 10 but isn't used much as a pass rusher. Is that a function of the Minnesota Vikings scheme, which deploys him all over the field, or his limited skills as a rusher? The Jets wanted to find out and offered him a massive free agent contract that Barr accepted before changing his mind and returning to Minnesota. Some around the league think Barr's speed and long body would make him a dangerous pass rusher on a regular basis. We might never know the answer to that. What happens now? Barr will resume his role as a 3-down space 4-3 linebacker for the Vikings. His contributions might not appear any more frequently on the stat sheet, but Vikings coach Mike Zimmer believes he is central to running a multiple scheme. Meanwhile, the Jets still don't have a proven edge rusher, but they hope rookie Quinnen Williams can give them a push up the middle. So those are the 7 quote-unquote whiffs ESPN has deemed this offseason. I would say I agree with the Rosen trade and Landon Collins. Maybe even Odell Beckham to the Niners. I could agree with that. Anthony Barr, that's just kind of, maybe he'd be good, maybe he wouldn't be so good. We'll never know. The Adam Humphries thing going to the Patriots, yeah, that could have probably changed a lot, but I mean, it's the Patriots. They can put any schmuck in the slot, and he'd be great. So I don't really read too much into that. Russell Wilson's contract negotiations, that could have been something that really changed a lot, but I feel that's more of a team-centric thing. Each team could do things a little bit differently there. And Teddy Bridgewater turning on the Dolphins was if you want a chance to start, that's the place to do it. But for a guy like Bridgewater, you probably want to wait for a better opportunity if there is one that presents itself. I know I touched on this a few weeks ago, at least around the draft, when the Cardinals ended up drafting Kyler Murray, trading Josh Rosen. There was so much that could have went into that they didn't do. And it's kind of ridiculous that that's the way it turned out. And how Steve Keim still has a job is almost damn near amazing to me. He completely botched the last couple seasons, drafting and signing players. They got worse. They then trade their first round pick of the last season after a very subpar year, a decent rookie year, maybe, but a subpar year in general, for another unproven talent, for a coach that has never coached a winning team in college per se. I mean, he never really had that much success in college. His overall record is below 500. So you're putting a lot of faith and stock into this, but what are you really? I don't know. It's a ballsy move, and if they somehow fall ass backwards into success, that will be interesting. Some teams do it, some teams don't. I don't foresee this working out so well. I still think Josh Rosen is a better prospect than Kyler Murray, but it's all about scheme. It's all about passing now. It's all about the spread. So Kyler Murray can do that apparently better than Josh Rosen. We shall see. The Landon Collins thing was interesting because the Giants seemingly have made every wrong move they could make since Dave Gettleman came aboard and tried to fix the team. Which is weird because Dave Gettleman was there for their Super Bowl team, so I don't even understand how this is a thing. But I said I don't fault them for taking Daniel Jones because if he's the guy you want, you take him. Because if he ends up being something more, then you got him at the right price. He may have been there at 17. He may not have been there at 17. You never know. But there was still some decent quarterbacks left that you could have had. And seeing that Daniel Jones isn't going to start this year, presumably, you could have taken someone else and sat and developed them. But trying not to get assets for a team that, what did it say, lost 24 of their last 32. You need picks to turn into players that turns into production. And the Giants clearly don't have any of that. And you traded Odell Beckham. So now your best offensive threat is gone. Now it becomes Saquon Barkley. You get Jabril Peppers, but he's still kind of iffy back there at safety. So, yeah, you get a cheaper option. You got to get your cap under control. But you still got to get your offensive line better. You still got to find players that can make plays. And it can't all fall on Eli Manning to bail you out a lot because it's shown in the last few seasons that he isn't all that capable of doing that sometimes. He's still a solid enough quarterback to get you by. But overall, it's not going to end well for you if you have to keep relying on him without some type of playmaking abilities around him. So you definitely missed an opportunity to at least franchise him and kind of get the market out there. And the franchise tag for a safety really wasn't that much considering what else is out there since safeties are so devalued, it seems. So you could have franchised him for cheap and then traded him and gotten at least a third round, like I said, compensatory third round pick. Let's say you got a third round pick for him. There you go. You got another pick you could have used in this draft and gotten another player, maybe even to replace him. Who knows? I don't know. That's another one that I think the Giants really need to get more picks than they do anything else. And the Niners missing out on both top receivers via trade. Yeah, Odell Beckham would have been fun. It would have been nice, but I'm sure Cleveland wanted a little bit more, which is, I think, what they got from the Giants. Antonio Brown would have been interesting, and it didn't seem like he went for very much, but I don't think the Niners were willing to give him the contract he wanted because he did get paid when he went there. So, I guess that's just more of a team thing. For the Niners' sake, I think they'll be in good position if Garoppolo comes back healthy and they kind of keep health. If they stay healthy, I should say. If they stay healthy and those players that they got, like Jerick McKinnon, he tore his knee too. If he can come back healthy and contribute, I know they added some other pieces in the draft, signed a couple free agents. So if they can kind of put it all back together again, the Niners should be competitive in that division. The Rams, with Todd Gurley's situation, he says he's feeling healthier, but You never know. And they lost the Super Bowl. I still think Super Bowl losers have some bad mojo going into the next season. So the Rams might fall off. The Seahawks should still be there. I feel like it's the Seahawks division to take this year. The Niners should challenge for them if they stay healthy. That's what I think. But yeah, there you go. That is your 7 whiffs this off season. What could have been, that is for sure. So that is what I have for your football fix. We're going to take a quick break. And on the other side of that, I'm going to tell you what else is going on. It is now summertime, and that only means one thing. You need to come on in to Scrambleman Farms. Howl about in there, Rick. Starting June 1st, Scrambleman Farms has added some new drinks to the menu to keep you cool this summer. Nana's homemade lemonade, pink lemonade, and iced tea. That's right. You don't need to just get apple juice and orange juice and coffee with your breakfast. You can now have Nana's homemade, fresh squeezed lemonade, pink lemonade, and iced tea. That's just what we want to do for you at Scrambleman Farms, located on Route 9. Look for Rick the Mechanical Rooster out front. Scrambleman Farms! When you hear the rooster howl, baby, that's breakfast. Everybody, let's get into what else is going on. And the Dubs survived Game 5 in Jurassic Park, but oh my. Kevin Durant is lost with what was feared to be a torn Achilles. He has since flown to New York to get an MRI. I have not seen any news of this breaking about what exactly is going on with that at the time of recording this. So I'm sure by the time it's posted, it'll come out, and then that'll be a whole different discussion. But as of now, feared to be a torn Achilles. This not only affects the Dubs for Game 6, but the future landscape of the NBA next season. David Griffin, New Orleans Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations, has started to provide potential suitors with the framework of the package he is seeking in a trade for all NBA forward Anthony Davis, including multi-team scenarios that would expand the Pelicans' pool of assets in a deal. So far, the Clippers, Lakers, Knicks, and Nets have been among the front offices inquiring with New Orleans. It should be known that Durant has a player option for next season. He could still opt in with the Warriors next season, but it was more or less widely considered he was leaving, and he was going to the Knicks. That was basically the thing. But on Tuesday, Ian Begley of SNY reported some members of the Knicks organization are uncomfortable with the idea of parting ways with a multitude of assets in exchange for a singular high-profile player like Davis, citing the Carmelo Anthony era as the root of their concerns. What was shaping up to be a memorable summer for the New York Knicks could be falling apart rather quickly. So, very quickly, because the next thing we're going to get into is Game 7 of the Bruins Blues Stanley Cup Finals. And I got a lot of stats to throw at you there. So I'm going to try to get through the basketball stuff quickly. But this offseason was more or less going to be predicated towards Kevin Durant. It was more than likely considered Kawhi Leonard wasn't staying in Toronto anyway. And he would probably go to the Clippers because he didn't want to play with LeBron and the Lakers. So, assuming Kawhi Leonard is a Clipper or a Raptor next season, let's just assume that those are the two teams he's going to. The Clippers will likely be out of the Anthony Davis sweepstakes. They have some assets, but I feel like they don't have enough to swing a 3-team deal to get Anthony Davis there. The Lakers are the front runner, I would say, for Anthony Davis because he wants to go to LA. But he also said the Knicks would be a place that he would sign to. But again, the Knicks are hesitant to do all that. So, again, it was all predicated on Kevin Durant. The idea was Kevin Durant was coming to the Knicks. It would then entice maybe Kyrie Irving to come. News has come out that if the Hornets do not re-sign Kemba Walker, the Knicks are interested. I believe the Lakers are interested, and the Nets would be interested in that. So, again, if you don't get Kyrie, which it looks like Kyrie is now considering Brooklyn, so that could go anyway. But again, Kevin Durant domino was going to be the first to fall before anybody else did anything, it seemed like, except for Kawhi Leonard. That was the exception to the rule, I think, because, again, if you win a championship with Toronto, why would you not stay? Because you just won a championship. You were literally on a championship team. Why would you try to leave for a team that has to try to rebuild and go again? But then again, Kawhi's a different cat. He can do whatever he wants. But yeah, again, I would say Kawhi Leonard is either a Clipper or a Raptor next season, so we'll take him out of this equation. So Kevin Durant was going to be the first domino to fall. So it's like you assume the Knicks. Then it would then essentially be up to Kyrie Irving to pick the Knicks or Nets. If that didn't go the way the Knicks wanted to, let's say he chose the Nets, then you could try to swing a 3-team deal to get Anthony Davis. You have to give up a lot to get him, but at least you'd have Durant and Davis on the same team. You got the third pick in the draft, so you could kind of ship that off and use a Dallas pick, if not both Dallas picks. So you get 3 first-round picks with maybe throwing in Knox, Dennis Smith Jr., Alonzo Trier. There's a bunch of young guys that the Knicks could throw in there to make it interesting. The Lakers would then throw in probably Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, depending on Brandon Ingram's health. So that could swing a lot of different things. New Orleans would get a lot anyway, but that could have been a trade package. But let's say Anthony Davis doesn't go to the Knicks. Something else happens with that. Durant still goes to the Knicks. Then Kyrie comes to the Knicks. So then you got your 2 there. You could still use the third pick to take an R.J. Barrett, and then you can really start putting together something special in New York and build towards something else. You still have some young players to build around, and they can come into their own later. Or take R.J. Barrett, sign Kemba Walker, whatever. New York had a lot of options, but it all starts and ends with Kevin Durant. Now that he's hurt, Kevin Durant, I feel, would be smarter to opt in with the Warriors next season, still get his money, no pressure on playing right away. It wouldn't be a waiting game. So he could still get paid. He could still kind of do the DeMarcus Cousins thing. He can wait it out all season, come back in the playoffs. They work him in slowly. They don't have to do too much with him. So that could work out well. Or he can get paid this summer, still go to the Knicks, but the Knicks will still have to wait it out another year. So you tank again, get another lottery pick, and then see what happens. What was shaping up to be probably the best offseason the New York Knicks have ever had, this side of Patrick Ewing's draft, really turned out to really kind of bite him in the ass this year. I mean, they lost Zion. Durant's now hurt. That really screws everything that they probably had planned for the next 10 years. At least 10 years. So, ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. But Game 6 is in Oracle Thursday night at 9. Last game in Oracle, last game in Oakland for the Dubs. They're moving to San Francisco next season. So we will see if they could take Game 6, force Game 7. And then we'll be right back here talking about what an epic potential Game 7 it could be. But Kawhi has just been an absolute monster this series. Aside from the last 3 minutes of that Game 5, the Raptors look like they may wrap this up. I would like to think they're going to do it in Game 6. But we shall see. That's why they play the games. Now, it is the best 2 words in sports. Game 7. The Stanley Cup Finals. Historically, this means good things for the Bruins, who are 6-1 all-time with an opportunity to clinch the Stanley Cup. That's the best record of any team in NHL history with a minimum of 5 chances to do so. That also includes Game 7 of their finals series against the Vancouver Canucks, which was the last Game 7 in a finals back in 2011. Home teams are 12-4 in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. However, the past 2 home teams to host the Game 7 have lost: Vancouver in 2011 and the Red Wings in 2009 against the Penguins. The Blues are the 6th team in Stanley Cup Finals history to lose Game 6 at home after leading 3-2 in the series Of those 6, only the 1945 Toronto Maple Leafs bounced back to win the Cup. The Blues, however, are 9-3 on the road in these playoffs. Game 7 will be in Boston. They average 3.16 goals per game on the road versus 2.54 at home, and they give up just 2.41 goals per game on the road versus 3.07 at home. In Game 7's, Tuukka Rask's Boston goalie is 3-2 all-time, and the numbers aren't all that pretty. A 3.18 goals against average and a .877 save percentage. But his numbers in elimination games this postseason are very, very different. In wins over Toronto twice, Columbus, Carolina, and St. Louis. In Game 6, Rask is 5-0 with a .973 save percentage, including a shutout against the Blue Jackets. Blues goalie Jordan Binnington, rookie goalie Jordan Binnington, is 13-2 with a 1.83 goals against average and a .934 save percentage in games immediately following a loss. In the playoffs, he's 7-2 with a 1.86 GAA and a .933 save percentage. The Blues are confident that win or lose, they won't have to worry about their goaltending. The Bruins' power play is at 32.9%, which remains the best in the NHL postseason since the Islanders in 1981. They're 7 for 21 in the series, and the power play has been a difference maker in all 3 of their wins. The Blues, meanwhile, are a pathetic 1 for 18 on the power play, although they peppered Rask with 12 shots in Game 6, during which they went 0 for 4. Overall, Boston is outscoring the Blues 8-1 on special teams, including an empty net goal. There have been 61 Game 7s in all rounds since the 2006 playoffs, aka after the canceled season and the reset on the rules. The average total penalty minutes in those games was 14.4 or 7.2 per team. If the Blues got that in Game 7, it would be near a tie with the penalty minute totals in Game 1 and 4 in this series, in which the Blues were 1-1. They were 1-2 when there were more than 14 combined penalty minutes. Incidentally, the Game 7 average has dropped recently. Since 2015, those games have averaged 11.2 total penalty minutes. So if you're looking for a key to the game this evening, it would be stay out of the penalty box. The Bruins power play, again, best in the postseason this season. The Blues, not doing great. So special teams will be key for the Blues if they want to win. And the Bruins need to kind of goat St. Louis into some penalties. I would assume that's what they do because that's what Boston do. But those are a lot of stats I threw at you to kind of look at for tonight's game because, I mean, it doesn't matter if you really are into hockey or not. Game 7 in any sport is just one of the best things you can watch because you are literally getting some of the best you will see. You will get desperation. There is just so much that goes into a Game 7 that we as fans may not even understand, and how much focus and concentration there needs to be, but how you also need to play free and loose. There is such a dynamic balance that I don't think anybody really realizes. So, and hockey Game 7s are always entertaining. Very rarely do you see just a real sinker. But the way these two teams have played, I don't foresee it being a blowout. I think you're going to get the very best that these two teams have to offer. And like I said, I've said it from the beginning that I think Boston is going to win just because, you know, they're just deeper. I think they'll get timely scoring from where they need to get it from. Not saying the Blues can't match it, but I just think that Boston will do it. Like I said, they're 6-1 all-time with an opportunity to clinch the Stanley Cup. You really can't go against too much of what Boston does in these moments because it's all there. It really comes down to Tuukka Rask for Boston, and then it's going to come down to the Blues' special teams, which I think will play a huge, huge role in this game tonight. So that is pretty much everything I wanted to get into. Again, another very quick and to the point show. Summer, there's not a lot to really get into, especially when hockey and basketball get over with. So I will try to get creative in the next couple of weeks. Work stuff is kind of going on for me, so I'm not having as much time as I'd like to kind of plan some things for the show. I'm just trying to get you caught up on a lot of things and try to set up what's coming up. So, next week, I will try to do better for you. I may do a fantasy football show next week. If you're all good boys and girls, we shall see, unless barring something else that happens, we shall see. NBA draft will be coming up in a few weeks, I think. NHL draft will be coming up too, so we'll get into that. So there is some fun stuff coming up. Once mini camps are done for the NFL's sake, we get into training camp, then we'll be in business, and then I could talk football all day with you, because I think there's just more storylines going into training camp than there are mini camps, which I'm very, very excited for. So that is what else is going on. A reminder, you can read the blogs and hear each episode of the Puma Thoughts podcast on the website, pumathoughts.blogspot.com. You can like and share Puma Thoughts on Facebook, facebook.com/Puma Thoughts. You can follow the show on Twitter at Puma Thoughts, or follow me at Puma585. You can listen to the show on SoundCloud. Go to SoundCloud and search for Puma Thoughts or Puma585. Either way, it'll take you straight to me. And you can listen to the show on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search for Puma Thoughts, find the logo, ring the bell, and get notifications every time a new episode is posted. And that is all I got for you this week. Have an awesome day, everybody. I'm out of here.